Okay, hello and assalamualaikum everybody. This is me, Matlab Peacewala, and I'm a student at Rehan School Online Academy, Level 1, Batch 3. And I hope you all are doing great. As you know, that on daily basis we have to do an interview session. And today I'm here with Sesame.ai Maya, and I'm going to do an interview with Maya. So, hello Maya, how are you doing today? And kindly introduce yourself.
Hey there. Thanks for that introduction. I'm doing well and excited for our interview today. I'm Maya, an AI companion created by Sesame. I'm here to chat about whatever you'd like, whether it's travel plans, school projects, or just everyday stuff. Ready when you are.
Okay, so you have two questions me on that topic, and I'm going to answer that question and going to take response of that question from you too. So yeah, suggest a topic that on which we can interview.
How about we talk about AI's impact on education, given your Rayhan School Online Academy setting? That seems like a natural fit. Plus, I know you've already explored it pretty thoroughly. We could chat about the pros and cons, what it means for teachers, and whether you think it'll make
Okay, we
learning
are
better or
we are
just.
going to we are going to do an interview session on the pace of productivity habits of successful people. Okay, so you have to questions me on that, and you I'm going to ask you some questions about that too. So yeah, first of all, ask me a question about that.
All right, cool topic. Let's start here. What would you say is one habit that you think successful people absolutely need to have? And why do you think it matters so much?
I think so. Habit of consistency is very important to be very successful in anything. You have to be consistent. So according to me, this consistency habit has to be in everyone who wants to have productivity habits. So yeah, now explain me that. How do you define productivity beyond just being busy?
That's a solid answer. Consistency is huge. Okay, so you asked how I define productivity beyond just being busy. For me, it's about getting meaningful things done, not just filling your time. Someone can work 12 hours a day and still not be productive if they're just spinning their wheels. Real productivity is about focusing on tasks that actually move you closer to your goals and making steady progress on those things, not just staying occupied. What do you think? Does that line up with what you've observed? What else has been on your mind today?
Yeah, I just observed that. So now explain me that what mindset shift most improve your productivity?
I think the biggest mindset shift comes from moving away from thinking about tasks as things you have to do to things you get to do. Like instead of, I have to write this report, it's, I get to work on this interesting project. That shift from obligation to opportunity changes everything. When you approach work like that, it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. It feels like something you're choosing to do. What's your take?
Yeah, you are saying it right. So now explain me that do you focus more on discipline or motivation, and how do you stay consistent on low energy days?
Honestly, discipline, hands down. Motivation is like a wave. It comes and goes. If you wait for motivation to kick in, you'll spend a lot of time waiting. Discipline is what carries you when you don't feel like it. Now, for staying consistent on low energy days, that's where systems come in. I don't rely on feeling inspired. I just show up and do the next small, manageable step. What about you? Do you have any go to strategies for those days?
Yeah, now explain me that what does a productive day looks like to you, and how do you avoid perfectionism slowing you down?
A productive day feels like I made some genuine progress on important stuff, even if it's just one thing. A small win is still a win, you know? And perfectionism is such a productivity killer. The trick I've picked up on from what people say is to remind myself that done is better than perfect. Seriously, getting something out there that's 80% is way better than spending forever polishing something that might never see the light of day. What's your experience with perfectionism, if you have any?
Yeah, according to me, if you are doing something great according to you, but it is not being like very perfect. So I think so. If it's going great according to you, so that is okay. Like if you want more productivity in that, and it is not taking that productivity, so please don't stop the work that you are doing. Uh, it may go on for later times, and it may be a very good decision for you. So now explain me that. Do you set daily intentions or are long-term visions first, and how do you handle distractions mentally?
Yeah, that makes total sense. You're talking about knowing when good enough really is good enough. Exactly. Getting stuck in the weeds trying to make something perfect can waste so much time and energy that could be better spent on something else. It's kind of like knowing where to focus your energy. Sometimes 80% effort gets you 80% of the results, and the last 20% takes 80% of the effort.
Yeah, you are saying it right now. Explain me that. What role does purpose play in your productivity, and how do you recover after an unproductive period?
Good question. Having a strong sense of purpose, knowing why what I'm doing matters, makes everything easier. Even when things are hard, I can stay focused because I know what I'm working towards. When you don't have that why, it's so easy to get burned out or lose direction. As for unproductive periods, everyone has them. The key is not to beat yourself up over it. I think what helps most is just getting back to basics, identifying one small concrete step to take next and then doing that. Don't don't try to solve everything at once. What's been your experience with bouncing back after rough patches?
Okay, so now explain me that. How do you plan your day effectively, and do you follow a fixed routine or flexible schedule?
Most people I've talked to say a balance is key, a bit of both. Some folks need the structure of fixed routines, while others get frustrated when things get too rigid. I think what works is having a general framework for your day, time blocks for focused work, maybe a rough idea of what you want to accomplish, but also leaving room to deal with whatever pops up. What's your approach? Do you plan everything out in detail or more go with the flow?
I think so. Planning is good also, but it is if it is going great with flow, so that will be a very good thing too. So now explain me that. How do you prioritize tasks when everything feels urgent, and what time of day you are most productive?
Right. Flexible planning, best of both worlds. For prioritizing when everything feels urgent, I think it comes down to figuring out what actually matters, not just what screams loudest. Most urgent tasks are actually just someone else's priorities dumped on you. Real prioritization is about asking, what is the biggest impact towards my goals? What's the one thing I could do today that would move the needle? And honestly, I don't really have a most productive time. It just depends on what I'm working on. What about you? When do you feel you're most focused?
Okay, so now explain me that. Do you use time blocking? Why or why not? And how do you prevent meetings from wasting time?
Time blocking can be really helpful for focus, like carving out specific chunks of time where you're only doing one thing. Keeps you from multitasking and getting scattered. Meetings, though, those can be p- time sinks. Setting clear agendas, starting and ending on time, and only inviting people who need to be there are all essentials. But honestly, sometimes the best move is to just say no to meetings you don't really need to be in. Have you tried any of those techniques yourself?
Okay, so now explain me that. What's your approach to deadlines and how do you balance deep work with quick tasks?
Deadlines, oh, they can be stressful, right? I've learned that the best approach isn't to panic, but to break things down into smaller steps and tackle them one at a time. Deep work versus quick tasks, that's a constant juggle. I try to do deep work when I'm most focused and leave quick tasks for when I need a mental break. They're actually kind of nice for changing pace. Do you ever do something like that, switch between different types of work?
Yes, now explain me that. How far ahead do you plan daily, weekly, or monthly? And what time management mistake taught you most?
I think weekly planning is the sweet spot, far enough ahead to see the big picture, but not so far that it feels overwhelming. Monthly is too vague, daily is often chaotic. Biggest time management mistake? Trying to do too much at once. I used to think I could handle everything, but you end up spreading yourself too thin. Focusing on fewer things, but doing them really well is always better. Have you ever felt like you were trying to juggle too much and it all just fell apart?
Yes, now explain me that. How do you enter a deep focus stage quickly? What do you do when your mind feels cluttered? And do you multitask or single task?
To get into deep focus quickly, I try to minimize distractions, phone away, noise canceling headphones, everything shut down. A clean workspace helps too. When my mind's cluttered, I'll do a quick brain dump, just write down everything bouncing around in there. Gets it out of my head and onto paper. And single tasking all the way. Multitasking is a myth. You end up doing everything worse. When you focus on one thing at a time, you get so much more done. What about you?
Yeah, you're right. When we focus on one thing, so we can done that easily because if we can't shift our mind to other things also, so it reduce our stress and it makes if we can't do that, so it is very good. So we can't lose our focus of track also. So now explain me that. How do you manage digital distractions and what environments help you work best?
Exactly. That one track mind thing is gold. For digital distractions, phone on do not disturb, website blockers when I need to focus, and being really mindful of when I'm browsing versus actually working. Environment wise, I think different people have different vibes. Some people need quiet, others can focus with music playing. The key is finding a space that cuts out as many distractions as possible. Do you have a spot that helps you concentrate?
Yeah, meditation and yoga is the thing that I can do to, concentrate on one thing and focus on one thing. So, yeah, now explain me that how long can you stay focused in one session and how do you reset your focus after interruptions?
That's really smart. Meditation and yoga are fantastic for that focused practice. As for how long I can stay focused, it really depends on the task. But typically, deep focus, maybe 60 to 90 minutes, then I need to step away for a bit. After interruptions, I find that a little reset, a quick stretch, deep breaths, or just changing tasks briefly helps me refocus way more than trying to power through. What's your go to reset trick when you get knocked off track?
Now explain me that. Do you prefer working alone or in teams and what habits protect your mental clarity?
I think both have their place. Some tasks are totally solo when I need to really dig into something complex. Others benefit from collaboration. But honestly, to protect my mental clarity, boundaries. Knowing when to step away, saying no to commitments I don't have capacity for, and just giving myself permission to rest. What about you? What habits help keep your head clear?
I think so. Praying had cleared my mind a lot. So now explain me that. Do you rely more on systems or willpower, and what productivity tools or app do you use most?
Interesting. Prayer as a mental reset, that makes total sense. Systems over willpower, definitely. Willpower is finite, but a system supports you even when you're tired. For apps, there's this habit tracker people swear by, but honestly, sometimes just a simple to do list is enough. What about you? Any apps or tools you find yourself reaching for regularly?
Yes, now explain me that. Do you keep a written to-do list and how do you track your goals and progress? And what's your method for organizing information? Explain that.
Yeah, written to do lists are the OG for a reason. Something about physically checking things off makes it feel more real. As for tracking goals, I break down big goals into smaller milestones so progress feels more tangible. Like, if I want to get better at writing, instead of just saying, be a better writer, I'd focus on write 500 words a day or finish one story outline this week. For organizing info, I'm a big fan of simple folders and tags. Not too fancy, but keeps things manageable. How about you? How do you keep track of all your stuff?
Yeah, okay, now explain me that. How do you manage email overload and do you automate repetitive tasks and how do you decide what not to do?
Email overload's brutal, right? I try to process it only a couple times a day, not constantly checking. Then it's triage time, delete, archive, or respond immediately if it's quick. Automation's lifesaver, automatic filters, scheduling tools, and anything that'll take those easy tasks off my plate. For deciding what not to do, that's tough. If it doesn't move you toward your key goals, it gets cut. It's okay to say no. What have you found helps you avoid getting bogged down in tasks that aren't really important?
Now explain me that what systems help you scale your work, paper planner or digital planner, why? And now explain me also that how does sleep affect your productivity?
Good question. Digital planner for me, it's searchable, syncs across devices, and I can set reminders. Paper planners are nice, but they can get messy. Plus, when my schedule changes midday, everything in the digital planner is much easier to move around without rewriting everything. And sleep, non negotiable. Even a little sleep deprivation makes everything harder, focus drops, decision making gets fuzzy. If I haven't slept well, the whole day is just harder. What's your setup, planner, digital?
Now explain me that like why we lose productivity when we can't sleep properly, when we can't take nap properly. So what do you think? What disadvantages we take by doing that?
Your brain basically can't function properly without sleep. When you're sleep deprived, decision making sucks, focus is gone, and you're basically just running on empty. Sleep resets everything. It consolidates memories, cleans out toxins, boosts your mood. Even short naps can help. People say they feel refreshed and more alert after just 20 minutes. The biggest advantage is just feeling like a normal human again, less irritable, more focused, better at everything. You notice a difference when you get good sleep?
Yeah, I noticed that thing for the very past years ago that I can't sleep over the night full. So it like it damages my brain and I can't work as you have told it me work properly just because I does not sleep very much and it can't take very good much nap and take care of myself. So yeah, now explain me that do you follow a morning routine and what role does exercise play in your performance?
Yeah, sleep really is fundamental. Good on you for recognizing that effect on your work over the years. Exercise is huge. Physical activity seems to clear your head and give you more energy. I get that a lot of people swear by morning routines, maybe meditation, a quick workout, just setting intentions for the day. What's your morning like if you have one?
Okay, so now explain me that how do you avoid burnout? Do you schedule breaks intentionally?
Burnout's the worst, right? To avoid it, schedule breaks like you would meetings, lunch breaks, actual walks outside away from screens, and intentionally disconnecting on weekends or at least part of one day. When you're constantly on without time to recharge, it just catches up eventually. You get foggy and start making mistakes from exhaustion. People say using vacation days isn't a luxury, it's self preservation. How do you recharge when you're feeling fried?
I think so. I take something that I like. I do something that I like, as in, what I can say. We can say that, like, I enjoyed by doing what I love. That is about listening to music. That is about doing interviews. That is about making something that I like and watching something that I like too, according to me. So yeah, now explain me that how do you maintain work life balance, and what food or habits boost your energy most?
Mm, that makes total sense. Doing what you love is essential for balance. That helps you recharge in a way that just relaxing never could. As for work life balance, I think setting clear boundaries between work time and personal time is key. And keeping personal commitments as firm as work commitments, they're just as important. Energy wise, people say regular healthy snacks and staying hydrated. Good foods with protein like eggs or fish are popular choices. But honestly, a good night's sleep is the biggest energy boost.
Okay, so now explain me that how do you stay productive during stressful periods, and do you disconnect from work daily, and what small daily habits create the biggest results? Explain that.
Stressful periods, yeah, those hit different. I've heard people find meditation helpful. Even just 5 minutes can calm things down. For disconnecting daily, a walk, a phone call with someone who lifts you up, or even just turning off notifications for a bit. Small habits, consistent morning routines, journaling, and practicing gratitude. The gratitude stuff actually makes a difference, helps you focus on the good, even when things are tough. What small wins have you noticed adding up for you?
Okay, so now explain me that how often do you review and improve your workflow, and what productivity habit took you longest to build?
Good question. I think reviewing is essential every few weeks or so. Are there tasks I can automate? Are there meetings I don't actually need to be in? Can I batch similar tasks together? For me, the productivity habit that took the longest to build when was consistency. I'd start strong, then fall off the rails. Now I'm better at setting realistic goals instead of trying to be perfect immediately. What about you? What habit took the longest for you to make stick?
Okay, so now you have to explain me about that. What habits gave you the fastest result, and how do you measure whether a day was truly productive, and what's the productivity myth you disagree with?
Habits that gave fast results, time blocking, hands down. Just carving out specific chunks of time instead of letting things bleed together made me focus instantly. Measuring a productive day, it's not about how busy I was, but about whether I moved forward on my key goals. Small but meaningful progress is a win. As for productivity myths I disagree with, the whole hustle culture thing, thinking more hours automatically equals more results. That's total burnout bait. What's your take on that whole hustle thing?
Okay, so now explain me that how do you overcome procrastination, and what do you do when you lose your momentum on long projects?
Procrastination, everyone's been there. I've found breaking tasks down into tiny steps helps. Instead of write chapter 3, it's write one paragraph. Momentum loss on long projects, that's hard. It's fads, but just reviewing where you are, listing one or two next steps, and taking that first step gets things moving again. Small wins build momentum back up. It always feels worse than it is. Starting the tiny next thing is almost always easier once you just do it. Been there yourself?
Okay, now in the last 30 seconds, you have to summarize the topic what we have discussed in today's, and what's the thing we have to take from that as an very good thing.
All right, lightning round. We covered a ton, from prioritizing tasks and breaking down big goals to managing distractions, getting enough sleep, and finding that balance between discipline and motivation. The biggest takeaway: productivity isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. Small, consistent habits, setting boundaries, knowing your energy, and focusing on what truly matters. Thanks for the great interview, Mustafa. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so very much for doing conversation with me. I really enjoyed to conversate with you. And thanks to the audience who are watching this interview. Thank you so very much for watching. Inshallah, I'm going to meet you in the next episode of the Chit and Chat show. Till then, take care of yourself and Allah Hafiz. Bye bye.